variations, financial crisis, and everything in the US and in the world. Finally, unfortunately, I got acceptance with full scholarship. And today, I will be talking about the process, almost everything that I have done, I have gone through, and this all are based on my experience. And I may say something that doesn't match with the information that you have. And if you have any questions, just stop me, ask your questions, and it's not a big deal. So let's get started. The agenda for today's talk is this. First of all, I will start with general requirements and then phases of application, how to look for universities, how to convince professors, and paperwork after admission. And I will mention the reasons why I've written there by professors. Okay, so general requirements are the ones that you probably know. These are transcripts, CV, certificates, IELTS or TOEFL, GRE, recommendation letters, SOP, that's what they call, that's motivation letter, that's what they call in US. And some additional certificates maybe you have, and then there can be more specific requirements. For that, you have to visit the university website for every university because they differ from university to university. So let me talk about each of these requirements one by one and describe how important they are and how we can get them, right? Transcripts, this is the easiest one. Some people may say your GPA is not important, but it is. This is kind of the first phase, filtering phase, where your transcript GPA is very important. Usually for US universities, 3 GPA is okay out of 5. And you can find some websites where you can transfer your out of 100 GPA to out of 4, because they usually require out of 4. The higher the GPA, the better, because I have seen some professors, even apart from admission committee, even some professors may require high GPA because in their mind, high GPA show really hardworking student. So that's why GPA is very important. So if you are first or second year student, you have really great chance to keep your GPA high. But if you're final year student, but your GPA is kind of average, but 3 is okay. Mine was 3.2, if I'm not mistaken. But mostly 3 is okay. But if you are applying directly to PhD, from bachelor to PhD, usually they require minimum GPA of 3.5. So and the application process, usually you upload scanned version of your transcript, English version of course. But some universities may require sending the hard copy of transcript. For example, in the case of Stanford University, they said that's the part of application process, so you have to send it, and we did. And next thing is CV. It is not that important because you're a student. The maximum thing a student have, or for example, maximum thing I had was a few internships, some courses maybe, and some research interest and all. Not a great experience, but for a student, average CV is okay, and you can find a lot of courses, a lot of instructions on how to build a good CV. And certificates. For the US universities, TOEFL is important. 99% of the universities in US says that that's your choice, either IELTS or TOEFL, whichever you have. I took both because very few universities require TOEFL. They did not accept IELTS, so that's why I took TOEFL as well. And minimum requirement, they usually say minimum requirement is 6.5, sometimes 7. But these certificates are not really important. The only important thing is you have to pass the minimum requirement. For example, 8.5 IELTS and 7 IELTS, they don't, in their mind, they are not much different. So all you have to do is just to pass the minimum requirement. GRE, this is graduate record examination. It's an exam. If you haven't heard, it's an exam where you have a quantitative section, which is basically high school math, and you have verbal section, which is English, but it is analytical English. You have text. It looks like IELTS reading section, but it's a bit different. And also there is analytical writing section as well. But GRE is really, really important, especially quantitative section, especially for those who are applying for engineering departments. Quantitative section, it's out of 170. The higher is the better, because if you look at the statistics at the university website, statistics of admitted students, they say that, for example, I've seen in top universities, usually minimum is 170, 166 or 67. But in most cases, they accept students with highest score 170. So GRE is very important, especially quantitative part. But verbal part is really, really difficult. There are many words that I have never seen in verbal part, but that's okay. It's just a matter of time. Just prepare well. Verbal part is not as important as quant part, but again, the higher is the better. Recommendation letters. Usually, what they want is a good recommendation letter from someone that has high portfolio. For example, I would suggest to get recommendation letters from professors, not industry people, because you are going to study there, and what they're interested is your work with professors. That it is even better if you get a recommendation letter from someone that you have already worked with. For example, you can get that letter from a professor that you together worked on a research project or prepared for a conference or general requirement is 2, but you can upload more than 2. And the important case here is you don't upload recommendation letter yourself. You just enter the details of professor, name, surname, contact, email, phone, etc. And then they send the email to professor with the link where professor enters and they uploads the letter. And then statement of purpose. This is very, very important point, statement of purpose, motivation letter. This is one of the most important thing I would say in the application process. It should be unique. It should be unique to person. You shouldn't copy it. You shouldn't let it someone else write. You have to write it yourself or with the help of, I don't know, someone that has very good writing skills. I did not have good writing skills. I also got help, but I didn't pay for it. You know, there are some people who says that they write motivation letters in return of money, but don't do it. Just find someone and let them write, but with your help, because statement of purpose, it describes you, it describes who you are, it describes what you have done in your bachelor's degree, and it describes your passion and motivation for studying and doing research, and also it describes your reasons why you're applying to that university and your reasons why you want to work with, for example, a specific professor. Because in the statement of purpose, you have to mention a lab, research center, or the name of the professor in that university that you want to work with. That's really important. I have some samples. If you want, I can send my own and some other samples. So this is usually one A4 paper, maximum one point half, but not more than that. And about also SOP, they in some universities they require even more than that, because they say that in your SOP describe your research fully, the research that you have done in your bachelor's. So before writing SOP, just check university requirement page. And what else I have to tell about SOP? Yeah, it should be unique, no plagiarism, because they really check the plagiarism. If you've copied from someone else that also applied to US universities, maybe not exactly that university, maybe some other universities. I'm not sure, but I have heard from people that they have connection between universities. For example, if you copy from someone else's SOP who applied to different university, they will find it. So the main takeaway from this is don't copy SOP. Not from internet, not from someone else's SOP. Just write it yourself. And relevant certificates. That can be, for example, some courses you've taken in Coursera, Udemy, or achievements you had, maybe some scholarship you achieved, maybe some publications you've done, conferences you've gone, or volunteering works you have done in SPE or SCG. This is really useful. You can mention it in your CV, or you can mention it in the application form as well. So volunteering work is really important, not only because you just have the name, I've been volunteered there, or also the experience you gain from that. And finally, there can be more specific requirements. As I said, for that, visit the university page that you are going to apply. So the application phases. I have divided this into 3 phases based on my experience. First of all, in search for good universities. So how to find universities to apply, because there are tons of universities in US. There are, I don't know, 50 states, in each state, maybe 10 universities, maybe even more than that. So there are hundreds of universities in US. So how to choose it? Based on ranking, of course, top universities are always better, like MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Stanford. They're always better if you can get into. Relevance of ongoing research projects. That means what? That means, for example, if you have done some research, or if you have some research interest, and you better find the person, professor or lab with the similar research interest. If you haven't found it, then you better not to apply to that university because you will have lower chance. That's because, for example, in my case, I've been doing pore-scale simulations and machine learning and data science application in petroleum reservoir simulation. There when I was searching for universities, I was usually going through professor profiles and university research labs where they usually write what they are doing, what kind of research projects are ongoing. So if I see something interesting, something relevant to me, then I include that university to my list and consider applying there. And then budget. Budget, I mean your budget. Because admission process is really painful in terms of money. It's like it changes from university to university. In one university, you may pay $50. In another one, you may pay like $120, $130. They 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 require a lot, like, and it's also non-refundable. You apply, even if you get rejected, you don't get it back. You just throw the money away. So you have to be careful with the money. Um, I would recommend to choose maximum 10 universities, um, because of course the more is the better, because it will increase your chance, but it will also increase your expenditures. And location. Uh, Location, I mean city or state. I've forgotten to close bracket here, don't mind it. So, for example, if the university is in big city, yeah, is someone talking?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. If you have
I'm
question,
sorry
yeah,
for
go ahead.
interrupting. Can we ask questions like this?
Yeah, sure. You can interrupt me anytime in the middle and ask questions. Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. Right away about the budget, about application fees. So I have read one post in Reddit. They say that it was just written by one working at one of admission committee of one of the university, U.S. university, and it was stating that if you attend webinars which are organized by a university for promoting their programs and so on, or if you get somehow connected with them and ask for a waiver of the application fee, they may approach to it positively, like, okay, we give you a gift for active participation, you're exempted from application fee. Have you came across to this?
Yes, that's really good point. That happened to me once, not exactly that case, but general waiving case happened to me once. Yes, generally waiving that application fee is possible. Um, Generally, they list the countries where they usually waive application fees, and that countries include, for example, I've seen one listing Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, some African countries where they can waive the application fee. But if you contact the admission committee and ask for waiving, I'm not sure if participating in webinars or some other events may give you a chance to waive. But yeah, generally it's possible. For example, in my case, when I was applying to Colorado School of Mines, um, in the university page, they were writing there that um, if you apply before a specific date, and that date was, I think, before December 15th, that was last year. If you apply before December 15th, your application fee will be waived. If you are applying after December 15th, you will pay application fee. I think that was because they were making some updates in the website, in the system, that's why. But I was lucky about it. It was like $50 or $70, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, in that case, application fee waived. It is possible. For more information, they don't. If you cannot find it, you can always email admission committee. They're really nice. They answer all your questions. Just write everything in your email, and they will answer it. Okay.
Yeah,
If
it's
no more
clear.
questions, yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
I
go
have
ahead.
already in the chat some questions about your previous slides. If it's okay, I can state them right away now.
Yeah, because I don't see the chat because I'm
Okay.
sharing on full screen, so it is better if you just
Okay.
If you
So about GRE requirements, some of the universities write in the requirement section that GRE is not strictly required, but it is recommended. Sometimes they don't even write it is recommended, but of course it's rare. What do you think? Like if we apply without GRE, is the thing that I don't possess, do our chances of getting accepted become lower?
Well, that's I don't know that exactly. I haven't actually seen a university that says GRE is not a requirement. All the universities that I have applied or I was planning to apply, basically all the universities that were in my list, um, required GRE. And application, there is a section in the application form where you upload your certificates, or in the case of GRE, you don't upload certificate, but you send it from ETS website. ETS is the company that organizes GRE. So you cannot move to next page without uploading your certificates. Or if you can, you will not be able to submit your application form without GRE requirement. Or even if you upload, it will still show your application form is not complete. They will list the missing documents. So what I was doing, I went to ETS website. I sent GRE and TOEFL scores from ETS. Because in the ATS website, you add the university name, department, and there is GRE code in each department. And they sent from ETS to the university. And I submit the application form. It was written, application form is incomplete. And in the more info part, they were showing GRE not received, TOEFL not received. After a few days, then it shows GRE received, TOEFL received. So, but yeah, there may be universities that they don't require GRE, but I think they're really, really low ranking universities. I'm not sure about that. In most of the universities, they do it. And that's one of the top requirements, actually.
Okay, thank you. And my last question for now.
Yeah, but for that, what they don't usually require is the minimum passing score. In their website, they write some recommendation like on average, this score is recommended, like 165 is recommended, but not exact score. Like there is no such requirement that if you have 160, you will definitely fail. There's no such thing. Yeah, go ahead.
What about the searching portals? So as you know, there are lots of websites offering search engines for finding scholarships like findamaster.com and so on. Which one did you use? I cannot trust any of them.
You asking about specific scholarship programs or just websites where
master programs themselves, like the website that you used for finding the master program?
master program. Yeah, what in my case, I was looking for programs in university official website. I was programs how you can find the required information and all. In the example of a few universities, but generally I wasn't using any other website for finding master's or PhD programs.
Okay, so you directly went to, what I mean is that, for example, there are websites like findamaster.com, masters in, for example, mastersinus.com that collect all the programs and you filter the data according to your background and it just lists everything available. I mean, it's easy for finding the university and then finding a program rather than finding all the
It may be easier to find it that way, but for more up-to-date information, I prefer university official web page because they update it frequently and all the, for example, research programs, master programs and PhDs and department information and um, requirements, and there is FAQ section. You can find answers to some of your questions there. So that's why I prefer that. But in the in this space, in the searching for university, I was usually using some websites like topuniversities.com or usnews.com because they usually describe the university. They describe their research output. They describe their ranking, employability rate, and all of that. After, for example, deciding that this university might be good for me, and I visit the university page and find all the information I need there. But if there are many cases that I cannot find the information that I need, then I just email the admission or department directly. Email the department; they will get back to you in 1-2 days. If you see that they don't, then call. I used to call a lot. Like there is, I don't know if you know or not. There is a free call in Gmail. You can call US numbers freely. So that's how I used to do to find information.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Nijat, we have questions on chat box. If it's okay, I want to read them, or we can.
Yeah. I was gonna say that because I'm using full screen. Better if someone else read it.
If it's okay, I will read them for you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask what are the difference about reference letter and recommendation letter?
They are the same, reference letter and recommendation. Because the recommendation letter, as the name suggests, the professor recommends you. Recommends you. To the university. The reference letter, it's the same. Yeah. There may be some differences in the case when you apply maybe for some other programs. I don't know, but in my case, yeah, I think they're the same. And also I've seen in some university web pages, they call it recommendation letter, and in others, they call it reference.
All right, and we have one more question. What is minimum GPA to get fully scholarship?
That depends on university. Some may say, well, I would say 3, but some universities may require 3.2. That is something that you can also find on the website of the university, and that also depends on the department and the program you're applying, whether it is master's or PhD. But if you apply for PhD, they require high GPA like 3.5, 3.6. If you apply for master's, 3.2, 3.3 is okay. But 3 is also acceptable. Like this 3, one can get into a decent university.
And last question for now. Nihad asked, what is the best date to get GRE, considering 5-year validity of it? Is it smart choice to get GRE in your first year of bachelor degree, or?
When you say first year, is if it is out of four. No, in general, I wouldn't recommend anybody to get GRE in their first year. Why? Because the conditions may change, and you may decide not to apply, for example, in your fourth year. You may decide to apply like after 1 year or 2 years, and your GRE will expire. It is better out of 4. It is better to take GRE at the in the middle or the end of third year. That's how I did. I studied 5 year actually. I took GRE at the end of fourth. It was April, and I took GRE. So because yeah, you will have more time. It is 5 years. After 5 years, it will expire. If you take it in the first year, then you may need to take it again.
And last one, Orhan is asking, what's GRE? I think he missed.
Yeah, GRE it stands for Graduate Record Examination. That is a certificate that is usually required for getting into graduate studies in US. And by graduate studies, I mean master's or PhD. It consists of 3 sections: quantitative, verbal, and analytical writing. Quantitative section is basically high school math. Verbal section is reading, some gap fillings, words. It's just English, but mostly analytical stuff. The readings are similar to IELTS readings, but much more challenging. In the verbal part is generally challenging. Math is easy. And there is an analytical writing section where there is a topic and you write about the topic, but mostly it is required to have some critical thinking, that kind of stuff. And verbal and quantitative is calculated out of 170, but it starts from 130. I don't know why. Even if you don't write anything, you will still get 130. I haven't yet understood the reason. If there is anyone that knows why, please let me know also. So yeah, it is from 130 to 170, and writing is out of 6. That's
All right.
simple about.
And Shahin asked, I just want to know if there's a way to work in USA as a student, or it will be illegal. Or
Well, there are a lot of such kind of information that I also don't know. I will go there in January. I'm planning to buy my ticket for middle of January. I will know when I get there. As a student, I'm not sure because the visa, the main issue is that visa. Because for students, they get a fun type visa, and I don't know if a fun type visa allows the person to work.
All right, that was all.
That is the information I think can be found on the website of US Department or just by Googling.
All right,
Okay.
thanks for the information. That was all for now. We can continue.
Okay. So choosing university, the location. If the university is in big city, that is good. Even if the university ranking is somewhere in the middle or even low, that's okay. Because there are a lot of opportunities in big cities like Houston. For example, University of Houston does not have a very great ranking, but because it is located in Houston, which is the third largest city in US, so choosing a University of Houston is a good option. Backup. What I mean by backup, always have backup. Like select one or two university that may have low ranking and high admission rate, and because you know things may turn and you may get admission from any of them, but high admission rate universities, it will increase your chance. And speaking of admission rate, when choosing university, admission rate is also important. Admission rate may change from 3-4% to up to 90%. Like I think Stanford University has one of the lowest admission rate. It is 4. And there are some universities that has admission rate of 90%, 60%. So pay attention to admission rate as well. And chance of getting scholarship. This is the section that I will mostly describe in the next slides. But if you see that you have talked to professors are ready to give you money to fund your study, then it is worth to consider the university. And that's the part that I will describe mostly in the next section. So this is the top 10 university according to topuniversities.com. I've just put this example that based on ranking, you can choose the universities. MIT, there is Stanford, Harvard, there is Caltech, and there is University of Chicago in the United States. But there are really other prestigious universities as well, like Princeton. There is Yale University. There is University of Southern California. There is University of Texas Austin, which are at top 100 and really good universities. So using this website, there are a lot of universities that help me to decide. So this website, also usnews.com, they are really helpful. Also, you can find, for example, you can go to university page. I mean, not university web page, but you can find the description of the university in this website as well. Next, also, ranking is not everything. Ranking does not mean everything. I have here example, Colorado School of Mines. The Colorado School of Mines ranking, I think it was 550 or something in the world. But it is really, really good university because of mainly because of employability rate. Most of the students that graduated from CSM, they can get a job. So, so the ranking is not the number one factor when choosing university. There are a lot of good universities that has low ranking, even, I don't know, 800, 700. But when you look at their website, their the research works they have done and publications, you see that they're really great. They're doing great work. So it may be worth to apply. And the next part is application phases number 2 in search for scholarships. I think if there are any questions so far, let's just discuss them and then go.
We don't have anything on the chat box. I think we can continue.
Okay. In search for scholarships, that's, I think, the hardest part, because what you have to do in this phase is to look for professors that has the same or similar research interest that you have. For those, if you haven't done any research during bachelor's, that's okay, because you can turn your diploma work into something great. Like when it comes to diploma work, you can choose a topic that you're really interested, and you can put a good effort on that. And even if you don't have a paper, that's also okay. But you can get really something, tangible result out of that diploma. And with that, you can use that. You can use that to email professor, to talk, to call, and to describe that you have really done something. It is the best case if you have published paper on the international journal. I know some guys that they are in the US right now. How they got scholarship was they were simply emailing professor, just one two sentence, and then link to their paper. So, hello professor, this is my paper, please take a look, I'm interested in your research, blah blah blah, and that's it. And the professor opens the email and see there's a paper published with in a prestigious journal. That's the best case. But if you don't have a paper, that's also okay. I didn't have a paper because we didn't finish our research projects at the time when I was what you can do if you don't have a paper, you can prepare a poster. A poster is just one pager where it describes everything you have done, the methodology, the results, the challenges, and everything. And nice, the colors, and it's attractive poster that's also informative, that also really contains some information about you. Your work. And then you visit professor's website, and then you look for someone that is similar to you. And I will show some examples on the browser. And also you write the email. And I have here an example of email. This is my email that I've written to professor. That email describes who you are, where you have studied, and then it describes what kind of work you have done. It describes why you've written this email to that professor, and you also describe that I'm interested in your work. I'm planning to apply to that university. Do you have, for example, space in your research group or lab or center? Can we, for example, have a video chat or just voice call? So basically, you try to convince professor that you have really good background, you can do research, and that's how the professor is going to give you the money. Because if professor sees that you can really do something, then it will give you the money, monthly scholarship in return of your work. Because when you get there, you will be research assistant, and that's how you're going to get the scholarship. And also, professor will pay your tuition fee as well. And yeah, ask to have a video conference. That's also important point. If you can agree to have video conference, then it means you have at least 15 more minutes to convince professor that you can do. So that's my example email. I think, yeah, it's written in Columbia University. I've written to a professor from Columbia University. I think I don't need to read the whole email. That's a long email actually, but main points here is, first of all, I introduce myself, and then I talk about my research work. And I also, yeah, in the email, I also attach my poster, the poster that I have taught, yeah, that describes the research. And also your CV, also attach your CV. And then the reason why you contacted with that professor, because you're interested in his or her research interests, research projects. But it turns out that professors in 80% of the cases do not reply to emails, or they just reject. So this is very few example of responses that I get from professors. For example, they say that I'm sorry, I don't have funding for this year, or they will say that just go and apply to go through the admission process, and then we will talk, or that's the way of getting rid of. Or in most cases, they will not reply at all. Or the best case scenario, for example, there is a professor from the University of Texas at Austin. He was really impressed, and there was one from University of Houston. He said that he's interested, and one professor from I don't know, I don't remember the university or all the universities. Most of them they reject. Actually, most of them do not reply. Some reply. Those out of those who reply mostly reject. They mostly say I don't have funding, or they may say I don't recruit, or things like that. But that should not disappoint, because those who did not reply, you still have chance on them. For example, there was a case. I emailed the professor from Colorado School of Mines. He did not reply, and I resent the email. Almost 3-4 times I sent the email, the same email, again and again. He didn't reply, and then I called the professor, because they have all the information in their website, in the university website. They have number, they have email, everything. So I called, and I described everything, and he didn't get the email. Actually, I don't know why. Sometimes my emails go into spam folder, and that's why professors do not get. So he was interested, and he gave me another email, and he said, please send me your poster and CV to that email, and then we will talk. So that was a positive case. So also, besides just writing email, also consider calling. And when you call, you again introduce yourself. You say, for example, I have sent you email a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't seen, if you haven't received, I can send it right now, for example. And I am Nijat Rustamov. I've done this, I've done that. Here's my research work. Here's my poster if you want to see, if you have any specific questions. And I've gone through your profile. I'm also interested in the things that you have done or you're still working on. And I think if you have an empty spot in your research group, I can be a good candidate. And they are usually rude. They say, "I'm sorry, I don't have time," and they simply get rid of it. But out of it, let's say if I call 10 professors, I will get at least one positive answer, one positive result. And that positive result will drive me to apply to that university. For example, if I get a positive result from, let's say, University of Texas at Austin, which I got, I applied. And also the same for other universities. Because, I narrowed down to 10 university out of, I don't know, 60, 70 universities. I narrowed down to 10. And the fact that one of the factors that helped me to narrow down was the responses that I got from professors from the university. And I emailed more than 50 professors. Every day I was there looking for professors. I was sending emails after emails. And I had the Excel file I will show you now, where I was keeping track of everything. The universities, professors from those universities, maybe some requirements, application fees, I don't know, deadlines and all of that. So that's a really good way of keeping record of everything. So I think that's all about, no, there's one more application phase. That's the most painful but most exciting phase after admission. After you get admission, you have to email all your documents to your university department, and then the university will send you the checklist, things to do before arrival and after arrival, and that's a long list. You have to register in the university website to create your own profile. You have to fill out some forms, and then you have to apply for visa. And the visa application costed me a lot. And then visa interview preparation, and then searching for recommendations, filling out another forms, and paying residence and deposits, and many paperwork, many application forms at university, right? And searching for tickets and all of that. This is the hardest because it costs a lot. It really, really costs a lot. Because for example, resident payment, they usually require to pay 1 or 2 months upfront, and some deposit which you will get it later. And then, yeah, this is actually the painful part, but it's good, you have the admission, and just filling out some final things. I think that's all from me. So what I will do now, I will show the Excel file, that the way how I was keeping track of everything, and a few examples on how I was looking for university information and professors. So I will stop screen share now, and if there are questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Do I find my card?
Can be there a case like you got approval from university, but you can't get the visa you get rejection from visa, and in that case, what you should do?
Um, that's a possible case. If you have, well, if we're speaking of, getting visa in Azerbaijan, that's really low probability case. If you have a scholarship, if you've been admitted and a scholarship, that's really low probability case. And also, visa interview is not that hard. It took me just 5 minutes, 3, 4 questions, and the questions are also easy. She asked me the reason why I chose that university, what am I gonna do after graduation, and where the money is coming from, and yeah, things like that. And you have to be strategical, and the answers are not that hard. You just convince the interviewer that you are not going to be immigrant. You will study and come back. That's all she wants to know, and you have to convince that. And that's not hard, really. But in case if you don't get it, that I think you have after some time you can reapply. But I think until that you will lose your admission.
All right,
So
thanks
that's
for your answer. And students are asking, can you please send the presentation after you are done?
yeah, sure. I will
Alright.
send the presentation to Zain, and you can share with everyone. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here I got a question. So,
Okay.
do you have any information about teaching assistantships and graduate assistantships?
Yes, teaching assistantship. That's actually a good point. If you have teaching experience, if you had taught somewhere in your bachelor degree, and if there is official record of that, that's really good. That's really good. Because in that case, you can also be teaching assistant. You can help professors to teach basically. That's also one way you can get your scholarship. Also, graduate assistantship. I'm not sure if it is the same with teaching assistantship or research assistantship, but I think teaching and research assistantship, they are combined into graduate assistantship. Yeah. So if you're a research assistant, you will basically help professor to do research. If you are teaching assistant, you will help professor to teach. And both case, depends on your experience. If you have research experience, if you're really good at things, research, professor will probably uh, offer you research assistantship if you have teaching assistantship experience, and that's also fine. And I know a person who got his scholarship as teaching assistant, and he's not really doing much of research. He's basically getting his scholarship with the teaching.
So
And
they
that's the procedure is also almost the same as what I've described. For that, you also have to contact the professor, and he will say, or he may.
about coming, I mean, based on the reviews about this on YouTube and websites, from the people that applied for teaching assistantships, I have heard that if you're not yet enrolled in the university, by this the professor doesn't know you well. So getting acceptance to teaching assistantship is a bit hard because I mean you're a freshman in the university, you don't know even even where it is located. So relying on you for teaching, I mean, what is the chances of getting that? How we can prove that before getting enrolled?
That's true, but that's also true about research assistantship. You know, professor cannot rely on anybody's skills on doing research. So, but the good thing about research is that you have proof. You have you have poster, maybe a paper uh, where you can describe what you have done. And if the professor is interested, you basically do a video call on with him, and he will ask his question. In my case, it happened. I had a 1.5 hour long talk with the professor. Like he asked me every detail of the research that I have been doing. Uh, I think it should be the same as. And by the way, the university that I've been accepted, after acceptance, they sent me email of checklist, and in that checklist there was English proficiency exam, and that was for teaching. And the email said that uh, if you are interested in teaching, then please take this exam. So when contacting professor, you can mention both teaching and research. So that will increase your chance. You know, you can say, I'm also good at teaching. I've done I've done teaching or maybe tutoring at my study. During my study, I also done some research. So if you use both, I think that's better. But with only teaching, especially if you don't have official record of you had that you really taught, then that's really low probability case.
And you said that it has the same procedure of application with the research assistantship, but the thing is that you cannot find a professor. I mean, in research assistantship, you find a professor that has conducted some researches relevant to yours or relevant skills at least. But what about teaching? Like, I have seen at some universities, I guess it was Queen's University and so on, that they were publishing the vacancies of teaching assistantships and graduate assistantships for some exact terms and mentioning how many hours per week are allowed. And otherwise, I tried to search, but it's hard. Like, how can I find a professor that has nothing to do with teaching assistantship on his profile on the website, but I can email him?
Well, if you're asking how to convince professor, then that's another story. But if you're asking how to find the professor, then let me tell you how I did, which I already told, that professors have all the information in the website, university. You can find, for example, which subjects the professor is teaching and at which department professor is working and at which, all the contacts, background, or everything you can find. And what I would do is just only with teaching assistantship, I will still be sending email professor. And also you will have to note it, mention it in the application form anyways. There's a question that are you going to ask for example, sponsorship? Everywhere I was putting yes, I will ask for teaching assistantship position or research assistantship position. And in some universities, there are some questions related to professors. For example, they say, "Are you interested in working with a specific professor?" Like you name two or three, and also you mentioned the reasons why. And in that case, that's not only for research assistantship. You can also mention a professor, uh, and say that, like, for example, a math professor. And the reason is I've teaching experience, like I taught math at I don't know, some official courses, or at the university, maybe I was tutoring, for example, freshman math class. So this kind of, and if you have really official record, that's really important. If you have official record, and then that will increase your chance. But if you don't, then it's on you to convince professor.
In my last
I'm not
question,
sure if I have answered your question well. If I haven't, maybe I misunderstood your question. Please ask again. Let's discuss it. It's not. I have time.
okay. Thank you for the patience, though. Yeah, I will. My main idea was that for finding a relevant professor for your research assistantship, you can look at their website and analyze their profile. Are they relevant to your research and so on? But for finding teaching assistantships, you don't have that chance. Like they don't say that. Maybe I can do that. For example, my profile is chemical engineering background. Maybe I can find professors of the department of the engineering or the department of chemistry or something, and email those professors like, do you need a teaching assistant? For example, I have record and so on. That I guess that's the way.
Yes, that's basically the way, but it's not like, do you need a teaching assistant? You write a good email with good sentences and description
Yeah,
of who
sure.
you are. And yeah, that's if you see you don't get a reply, then send email again. Try to find another email. Usually in their website, each professor has at least two emails, or maybe sometimes one. But if you see two emails, then send to both of them. Your email may get into spam. That's okay. Then you can call. They have phone numbers in their website. And if you don't know, Gmail has this calling feature. When you open your Gmail on desktop browser, on the left side, you will see there is option call. You just enter
Yes.
+1, which is US phone number code, and then the number. Yeah, you just need internet. It's free. You can call. I use that feature a lot. Like every time after I was tracking their time zone, I usually call between uh, 9 and 10 a.m. in their time zone, and that's around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. in our. So it's morning. They're free of stress usually, and that's the time.
Mhm.
Every night I was calling 3, 4 professors.
That's cool. Thank you for that one too. And my last question is that we haven't talked much about the application dates. So, what is the best period time lapse? It's December, or it's end of November, or is the January too late for emailing? Especially emailing, not the application to the program.
Uh, Application, it depends on university deadlines, and the deadlines are changing. Some universities have deadlines of December 1st for fall semester next year. Some universities may have the end of December or January, even February. I've seen universities that have deadlines till March, April for the fall semester. But emailing, but before emailing, just one thing. Um, do not wait for the end of the deadline. If it is December 1, just do not wait for, last day of November to submit your application form. I have seen a lot of posts in Reddit. Reddit is really good platform, by the way, for the questions, and you can find really useful information about universities. But try to submit your application at least 15 days before the deadline. The early applications have more, have higher chances. So consider that. And emailing, I would suggest sending emails should be in parallel or maybe even before the deadline. I started at the end of November last year, and I continued until the middle of January. I was sending 1 month and a half. I was sending only emails and calls, emails and calls. But I think it's okay to start at the end of November. But that really depends on university. I was emailing to universities who have the earlier deadlines. For example, Stanford professors, I was emailing them first, and then to Texas, UT Austin professors, and then Houston, in this order.
Okay, it's clear. Thank you very much for all the answers.
Yeah, welcome. I think there was some questions in the chat.
Yes, we have. Eldar is asking how can we start with researching so that we will have some background in research when contacting with professors in the future? Like from where to start?
That's really the hardest part. There are not many opportunities for students to do research in Baku. There are a few research centers, and they are really hard to get into and hard to, endure the load of research. In my case, I started at EALink. That was a good chance for me. I've gone through a long application process, interviews, presentations, and then another interview, and then another presentation, and then tasks and trial periods, and then research assistantship. But what you can do, I think you can, for example, start your diploma work. That's a good case, diploma work, in summer, for example, and do really good work. And that can be your research when applying for universities. But generally, where to start, that's a really, really very general question. Where to start doing research? That question, I don't know. That if you're asking about a specific topic, and for example, if you're asking where to start doing a research in the area of data science, then I would say if you already know data science and programming and mathematics part, then start looking for projects, real projects. And or if you have, for example, some ideas on, for example, there is a, let's say there is a problem in the industry, and you want to solve it with the help of data science. And that's by Googling, by reading papers, by reading blogs. There are tons of blogs, and you will get to know that, for example, there is this problem in the industry. There are these recent papers, publications. They have done that. They have that kind of result, which is maybe not enough. I can do better than that. So that's really about searching, getting to know the requirements of maybe industry, maybe academia. So I know that I answered generally because the question itself was general. But the best case is find the research center. The easiest case, to find the research center, because in the research center, you will have a supervisor, right? But if you cannot find, then you can approach to professors. For example, I don't know, in my case, I studied at BHOS, and at BHOS, we have Professor Siyavush Zakov, He's a really nice professor, and he helped the students a lot. We usually have conferences at BHOS, and they also attract some people from other universities. So at bachelor degree, I've seen a lot of students doing research with Professor Siavush Azakov. So if you don't know where to start, you can basically approach to your professor. Pick a professor in your department and ask for help. He will either agree, he will say, for example, okay, I have this project, let's see what you can do, or he will just direct you to someone else. Okay.
All right, thanks for answering questions. I think we don't have any questions.
If you don't have any questions, I want to share something. Okay, so this is the Excel file I was talking about. This is actually not complete because lately I didn't add updates to this file. So what I have universities that I consider to apply, and then professors from those universities, and then link to their profiles. And did I email? Yes or no? Or did they reply? Yes or no? And then if I want to call or email again, and then do I plan to apply? If I plan, then to which degree, PhD or master's? And then there are deadlines, then minimum GPA requirements. As you can see, it is 3.2, 3 to master's, 3.2 to PhD, minimum TOEFL. Some of them can mention minimum TOEFL, some of them do not at all. And minimum GRE requirements, also application fees, all the information. I have found all of the information on university website. Some of them I haven't mentioned, for example, application fees, because lately I've seen that this university is not interesting for me, and then I stopped searching. That's and I want to open, for example, a few links there. For example, here's the professor at Colorado School of Mines, and this is his education, his current research projects. And there is an interesting link here, energy modeling group. So what I do, I open that link and see what's going on in there.
Just sorry for interrupting.
And
We
oh,
almost
I haven't checked. Okay. Now you see.
now.
Hello.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So what I did, I opened one of the links in that Excel file. So I have his education, I have his research areas, and there is a current research project section. There is energy modeling group, and here's his contact, phone number, and email. And then this is energy modeling group, and there they describe what they do, and they should also have, yeah, publications. They have projects. So these are the projects. You just read and see if these are interesting and relevant to your case. And in the people section, I think the members of this group, I have actually emailed this guy and interviewed this guy too. So see, there are graduate students as well, mostly Chinese. They're really nerds. And then some publications. I suggest if you're interested in that professor, read the publications, because those publications, for example, some papers, will help you to come up with some questions. Um, and those questions you can ask during the call. You know, when you call professor, just to attract uh, his attention, you can ask some questions from his or her work. You can say, for example, I've been reading some of your papers because they are really interesting to me, and I have some questions about that. And then go ahead with your question, and then you will start describing things that will give you chance and more time to, you know, more, talk more about yourself, your experience, and then discuss that question a bit more. So that's really nice to have to read these publications if you're interested in them. So that's one example. Or let's, for example, you can also go to university web page. They basically list the all the departments, and you know there is admission section. You can find apply now. You can find all the application requirements there, and then see there is financial aid section there, and all the information you find on the official website, they are true. You know, that's why I said I prefer to find the information on official websites rather than on some other program. So information there is what is that? See fall deadlines, click here. Application fee for international citizens is 95. They've increased, by the way. It was 70 or something. And then you see there is email. You can ask questions and send your questions to that email. So it is written here, fellowship applicants and students participating in that program. I don't know what is that. You can search. Please contact blah blah blah. And there is an application fee for non-degree applicants. Application fee is waived for current mind students, alumni, and staff. So that's the case when they waive application fee. Somebody asks waive an application fee. So, and then fall term deadlines. When is the deadline? Yeah, they have deadline for every program. They And you can also apply for, spring or fall. In my case, I applied for fall. I didn't make it fall. I emailed to university and they deferred my application to spring. So that's also possible. And information for application process, deadlines, credit application requirements for degree seeking and certificate applicants. So we can find all the application requirements. The transcript, there is everything here. There is think minimum. No, they don't mention any minimum. Or so there is GRE. There is GRE code. You can use it to send your GREs for. Also letters of recommendation. So they describe what is that and how they accept it. Statement of goal, that's statement of purpose or motivation letter. And CV and an application fee. And tips to complete your application, you can also read that. I don't know what the English proficiency exam. So they will tell if they accept. Yeah, there it is. They have minimum requirements, right? Yes. So they also accept TOEFL minimum overall band score 6.5 and other ways to improve English proficiency. They have more information on that and financial statement. So they say financial support will be needed if you are accepted. So you can ask more questions on that and email the admission. So that's basically it. So there is all the information you need about admission requirements, application requirements, the minimum scores or information about professor. And if you have some more question, here's the email, gradadmission@mines.edu for Colorado School of Mines, for instance. So this is almost the same for every university. It's just websites are different. Sometimes you spend a little bit more time to find the information you need, but everything is there. If you don't know, just email, ask her. So that's all I have. You can also get my contact from Think Saying as my contact. If you're comfortable with email, you can write emails. If you're comfortable with WhatsApp, I have my WhatsApp. If you say no, can ask. I will send the slides to saying. We will share with everyone. And if you have some more questions, you're more than welcome.
If we don't have any questions, I want to thank you for such a great experience with sharing us, and it was really useful for me, and I think it was really useful for students. And I want to thank for participants for attending.